Good early evening, everyone. Welcome to another Link to the Past Randomizer Fall 2019 tournament race. We have a match between Makinx and werfjig. This is game 2 of the lower end of their group. werfjig won game 1 earlier today. Makinx still has a chance to bring it back, push this into game 3, and potentially, try to earn a spot into this really competitive bracket stage that we're kind of working towards. I am Slim Kirby. I'm one of your commentators for this match, joined by my partner in crime, Mr. Philion. How are you doing today, man?
So did you say early evening? It's like barely 4 here. This is a late afternoon race.
I mean, when you look outside, it's already pitch black where I am.
No, I've still got sun out. This is afternoon, unless you're in Europe like Makinx and possibly werfjig, in which case it's nighttime. Time's weird, man.
No, I'm on east side United States. It's pitch black right now, seriously.
Fair enough. But we do have a race before I started ranting about time.
We do. We have a very important race here. Makinx could be facing elimination from this tournament in this race.
You said it was a competitive field, and a lot of us have said that throughout the tournament, and it's because it's true. Makinx is one of those names. He's been around doing rando for like 2 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
He's been consistently playing, and yet here he is on the verge of elimination. This is just not a player you expect to see in that position. That's the kind of thing we're dealing with this tournament.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was surprised to even see that he was a 3 seed in the third quartile. I mean, that's crazy to think about. He's always seemed to be like one of those top stage runners. As we are getting ready to start here, race should be opening up shortly. As far as the game setting,
sorry, he had moved his cursor to delete. I panicked.
Oh. Yeah, understandable. We are getting started now, though. Looks like in Link's house we just have the magic powder, pretty good safety, and it could give us an item later. As far as game settings, this is a game 2, and the toggle that Makinx decided to pick for this is Map and Compass Shuffle. So we'll be seeing maps and compasses in chests in other dungeons and in the overworld. Kind of like Key Sanity, but without the chaotic nature of Key Sanity, with all the keys being shuffled around.
That's right. So that has 2 impacts, right? The first is that compared to your normal randomizer, the item costs or item count in every dungeon goes up by 2. And second is we're not going to see a map check from these guys anytime soon because you can't really see anything on the map without those icons.
Yeah, not even the dungeon music can help you out here. You literally have to wait till you have that map, or just, get the crystal or pendant yourself, just through fighting the bosses.
But I see compasses here. Are those good for much?
I feel like in that competitive field we've talked about so many times, not as much. Just because that gives us item counts inside the dungeons they belong to, but I think these runners know what the item counts are. What do we get in the Sanctuary just now, by the way?
That was Flippers, which, is fine and good unless we need a lot of money really early for Zora.
Mm-hmm.
Put Zora in Logic, but kind of blocks off that early Houlihan option. So
yeah.
Here's hoping that doesn't hurt anyone.
We'll have to see. Looks like Makinx is actually heading towards the Lumberjack, so we're going to see what's on the Lumberjack tree item, see if we have to beat Aghanim for that. werfjig immediately jumping into the Lost Woods, picks up an Ice Rod from the Mushroom spot, and is now going to drop into the Thieves drop down in the forest here.
Okay. We also saw Makinx do the Hoarder Crab and grab hearts from there. And he's farming up enemies for another tree pull, but I could not see what he saw in Lumberjack.
I could not see that either. There was a very quick check, so kudos for him for knowing all the item sprites and what they all look like.
What they all look like on the bottom 2 pixels.
Exactly. Okay, so unless we see Makinx go book it straight to Aghanim for some reason, we won't know until werfjig obviously checks that out, or we may never even see what's up there because maybe it was nothing and werfjig ends up getting go mode before then.
I'm inclined to say it was nothing just because he didn't pause or do a double take or anything, but we'll have to
Right.
see.
Yeah,
Werfjig
definitely.
is in Blind's hut right now without bombs. He's hoping to get some here. Makinx pulls them from the second tier tree pull. He is going to save some time in CAC here.
Yeah, that is kind of the great thing about, making that lumberjack check early. Even if it's does kind of waste a little bit of time, you at least get to check the bush crab pole, and you also the tree poles as well. So that little bit of information is going to give Makinx the ability to not double dip this Blind's hideout here.
Yeah, no. Good news for Werfjig is he's got enough money. He was on his way down to the shop to buy bombs. Gets 3 from the tavern, doesn't have to worry about that anymore. But it's still more backtracking than you want to be dealing with at the start. And
Definitely.
he is going to have... Actually, it's very good that he got those bombs in the chest, because now he's not going to have to worry about bottle vendor money.
Yeah, that is true as well. And of course, there are bombs in the back of the Kakariko greenhouse here, so that's got to be annoying when that happens.
Oh no, Werfjig making his way through the bushes to the bombable hut in the bottom left. This is great for farming bombs. This is not so great if you end up walking into Blind's hut and getting more bombs. Strange as it sounds, the best thing he can do at this point is actually skip Blind's hut entirely. Well, no, he needs 30 rupees from the back.
We'll see what he does anyway. But yeah, gonna get stocked here. As far as the well here, we do get 300 rupees. That'll help with some early Zora money and the bow as well.
Oh, baby.
So that's Eastern Palace right there. That's 5 items and the potential to clear it. And we also get the flute from the bottle vendor, very conveniently placed.
Okay, this is a nice start. This is how you want things to go.
I wish all my seeds would start this way, honestly.
I mean, we'll see what these runners do. I think there's a strong argument for don't even go to South Shore right now. Just hightail it to Eastern Palace. Do Sahasrahla on the way, and get those 5 items plus potentially a crystal out of the dungeon at the start. Yeah, it's fire locked. Yada yada yada. That'll come soon. The important thing is the stuff at the front of Eastern isn't locked by a fire source, and that is more likely to be progression for you.
Yeah, even that fire source itself, that could be there, so...
No. Except yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say. But yeah, 5 items plus the 3 of Sahasrahla. Could even be a green pendant in Eastern. Could be vanilla green pendants. That could even be 9 items, for all we know.
That would be wild. Alright, Werfjig is back in Blind's hut. Got plenty of money, of course. But I think he's in a position... So he could have elected to do a save and quit right here. To kind of save himself the walk back out. Although I suppose with Flute, no matter where you're going, it is faster to walk.
Yeah, probably at this point. Meanwhile, we do see a bottle here at the end of the race game, which is why Makinx is going to go pick that up. Can bring that back to Sick Kid for another quick item check here in Kakariko. And we get a friendly little bee to help us out, and it's a gold bee too.
And Makinx is going to turn that in right away. There's an argument for saving it until later, but when you have the flute and it's so quick to get over here, and you, as it turns out, get a map out of the equation, it is worthwhile.
Yep, I mean, maps don't necessarily progress anything, but that's going to be some great intel for the future of the seed. We'll be able to see what that dungeon is, if it's a pendant or crystal, once we get to the dark. I think it was a Dark World map too, wasn't it?
Now, that was the pod map, which actually, as maps go, is one of the nicer ones to stumble on at the start.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Right, so Makinx down at the dam. Werfjig is going to join him, and we are going to see this kind of mini Moldorm South Shore play first. Heart Container does come in handy for those dark rooms, I anticipate, in Eastern.
Yeah, definitely. I do definitely find it interesting they both did kind of come here because, as you were saying, there is definitely a lot of value in the Eastern Palace area right now. But
If I just keep saying it, that'll make them go to it, right?
I think that's how it works. Yes.
Oh, really? Because everyone else tells me that's not how it works.
Perception bias.
Ah, that'll do it.
You see, it's when you're actually playing that that kind of logic doesn't work out.
Okay.
You got a Tower of Hera map inside Mini Moldorm Cave, another bottle, and map to Desert. That's two of our Light World dungeons right now.
That is actually potentially useful information.
It's actually, come on, show us. There we go. Oh, wow.
Is that a red
Both-
crystal and a red crystal?
Yes, the 5 and 6 crystals are both in Tower of Hera and Desert Palace, so we don't need to check the bomb shop early, at least.
No, but at this rate, we could find ourselves going there slightly sooner rather than later. That's the other thing that means. We're going to have at least 2 pendants in the Dark World. This could be a slightly faster seed, given that.
Yeah, definitely. And, oop, okay, we got an Ether Medallion on the Lake Hylia Island, so something we'll have to keep in mind for later. And yeah, it looks like both of our runners are kind of following each other's footsteps here, doing a lot of the same checks here, so not a lot of divergence just yet, but it's still pretty early, and generally when you have like Sphere 1, Sphere 2 locations, you tend to see a lot of very similar routes, and you're going to get them, or at least most of them anyway, so...
Yeah, that's definitely something we've seen in V31 is your Sphere 1, your Sphere 2, your really awkward locations in there still end up having things a lot of the time. So skipping a Gina, that thing we all used to do a year ago, can't really get away with that.
Nope, not so much. You may really, really want to, but it's not always a great idea.
All right, so we're seeing a lot of fluting to 8 here just because it's actually the fastest way to get to Hobo, to Ice Rod Cave, and now for Makinx to get to the Zora area. He is short on money. Werfjig going to do the same thing here. I really hope we just get like another 300.
That is the dream. That's the dream. Instead, we're going to get some bombs and a blue mail.
Okay, so that's not the 300 we needed.
Also, it looks more like kind of yellow mail for Makinx there.
I didn't realize he was using a funky sprite when he was on green mail, and
I didn't either, honestly.
I like this sprite. It's like, oh yeah, it's a normal sprite, and then you get your mail upgrade, and nope, the armor is the same as the hat.
Come on, Link, you're playing with our heads here. Looks like just a compass on the Zora ledge, and even though Werfjig did have more rupees than Makinx, still doesn't have enough for the 500 requirement for Zora's item, so we'll also have to abandon this. But it looks like we do finally have our first divergence here. So Makinx is going to head towards the eastern area, Werfjig heading to the escape section. Green Pendant is in Misery Mire, so that's... Who knows? We may not need that either, Medallion.
All right. All right. There's a glove from Makinx, as well as 50 more rupees, which puts him closer to Zora. He does save and quit here. Now, if he really wants to get into Zora right now, he can make 100 rupees by selling that good bee to the bottle vendor.
That's true.
The alternative is he could Houlihan and kind of get 200 in the process, which sets him up for the rest of the game. I think he might just do Back of Escape first, though.
Well, see... Oh, okay, yeah. Because you can also Houlihan right here, but with using a bomb in there. But yeah, it makes sense he's going to be going to the back to open the 3 chests back here.
Yeah, it's actually funny. Because of that early flippers, we couldn't do the Houlihan spot over by the river. And getting the glove unlocked that option again. But with $50 and another $300, that is Zora money for Makinx.
Thing is, that is just kind of a one-off location right now, and there's still, you know, the eastern area, there's still the front of the castle. There's even 1 or 2 items we can get on Death Mountain, so does he prioritize that now because he got the money, or does he just make the play to somewhere else? Looks like he's going there.
Now, speaking of fun divergences, werfjig, doing the front of Escape, pulled a power glove, of all things.
Huh. That's the thing about progressive gloves. There's 2 of them, and you can get them in any order if the game allows you to. Ooh, also the book inside the front of Escape, too. That's going to open up a Desert Palace.
If he follows this bait, we are going to see things get very different for a bit.
Yes, definitely.
So at this point, you know, if we're looking at Dark World access, we do still need Moon Pearl, and Hammer can be anywhere because we have 2 gloves in Logic.
That's true. So let's see what's going to be here at the Zora area. On King Zora himself, we have a 500 rupee payout for only 20 rupees, but it looks like Makinx is going to save those rupees for something else.
All right. I like this little optimization from werfjig. Because he's waiting until he gets the glove to go do Eastern Palace, he gets to walk straight up from the portal and the flute spot into the dungeon, and then once he finishes that, he can hop down to the left and go to Saha.
Very nice, routing on your feet. I like that.
So he'll get his glove after he finishes up here, and Makinx is going to get his other glove pretty shortly here in Escape.
Mm-hmm. After this, there is a possibility werfjig could have his Dark World access. Like you said, we need that pearl, and you know, if he goes over to get his second glove, he'll have that Dark World access.
Now, if werfjig is really concerned about money, he can do something here, which is go into the back of Eastern, go right instead of left, and there's 90 rupees on the floor. It's a little hairy in the dark when you're surrounded by anti-fairies, and then you have to climb your way out. But it's on the table, and if he's actually concerned about Zora, be something to consider.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That said, waiting for the Saha and Escape money is way better here.
Yeah, but he doesn't know that yet.
Now, if we knew where the items are, this would be a different game.
Mm-hmm. It'd be a different game, or it'd be the spoiler log tournament.
Yeah. Well, and Oro in chat, our wonderful tracker, has a great point that we got powder in Link's house, so it's easy to take those anti-fairies out.
Yeah, that is true. That's true. So we did get another map in the Eastern Palace here. Unfortunately, we already have that information. We got the map to Misery Mire.
It is, I've been told, a green pendant.
I think that's what Sahasrahla said, but I guess werfjig hasn't been to Sahasrahla yet, so that's probably a little more valuable to him right now. And yeah, Makinx is following that book that he found in Escape. He's going to be checking out Desert Palace. Don't have a fire source, so we can't complete it, but we could find a fire source in here. We do have some more items available to us with the map and compass shuffle on, so
Now,
you never
speaking
know.
of fire, it won't light torches for you, but it will melt things. werfjig found Bombos Medallion on the left side of Eastern Palace.
Oh, nice.
It's a good item to have once you get a sword.
Mm-hmm. Well, now there's another good item to find in Desert Palace. Can't really use it too much yet for any progression, but we found the Cane of Samaria inside Desert Palace, and there is the big key on the torch.
Good news, we are going to get boots in this seed. Maybe not early.
I personally think boots are overrated, but I guess they're okay if they're
Right.
gonna actually need something.
Right, we were talking about this earlier. Let me find a different person for commentary.
But if they have boots, they'll finish the seed too fast.
There is no such thing. So Makinx got that map from the Desert Ledge. It was the Turtle Rock map, which is going to be new information. That'll come in handy. Speaking of maps, werfjig gets a Thieves Town one. So we are collecting them at an alarming rate here.
And unfortunately, we also get something else. We just got something else on Makinx's side. But first of all, red pendant from Eastern Palace. Unfortunately, we're not looking for pendants unless that pedestal is going to be in play in some way. But on Makinx's side, that actually opened up Eastern Palace logically, completely. He found the lamp inside Agina's cave.
That's actually really convenient for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, okay, it lets him do dark rooms, whatever. It lets him light torches also.
Yes.
And with werfjig having Death Mountain access already through Flute, it's kind of hard to pinpoint where the lamp might be.
Right.
If he doesn't go to Agina's cave before he gets Dark World access, we could see him not getting that. Fortunately, it looks like he's in the area.
And I think this could also be good for Makinx as well, because we've already seen the Eastern Palace area and everything. Unfortunately, he's going there right now, so never mind. But we didn't really find any progression inside Eastern Palace, believe it or not. So we're still looking for something.
Yeah, there was just that maybe you'll need it bombos.
So right now, I think we're either looking at the inside of Spectacle Rock, and I don't think either of our runners checked Dark Cross yet.
You're right, both of them orphaned Dark Cross, which, fair enough when you don't have a sword or a light source or kind of any good weapon for echolocation.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I definitely understand Makinx's play to go ahead and go here instead of check Spectacle Rock, because you want to really explore Death Mountain when you have either the mirror and the hammer or the hook shot, just so you can get to that right side of the mountain. Unfortunately, does not have either of those. But unfortunately, that Spectacle Rock location could be one of those items to explore that right side. But for now, the Eastern just seemed like a more dense place where you could get items.
Oh yeah, and what you really don't want to do is walk all the way up to Spec Rock, get
Right.
nothing for your trouble, go somewhere else, get the mirror, and then do that climb again. Especially bootsless, it's just a frustrating climb. Like, yeah, you get to pump when you're going up the stairs, but you also have to deal with the rocks and the huge straight expanses. And
Yeah, that's one thing I'll give the boots. It is fun to do the spin speed on the mountain as well.
I swear that wasn't me like finding excuses to talk up the boots. I could start doing that. I might start doing that.
Oh, I know you'll find a way to. I know you'll find a way to. I'm just not going to budge on that stance.
That happens when you get the iron boots, but those are in other Zelda games, not this one. All right, werfjig, what you got for us?
I don't think he's checked Sick Kid yet.
Oh, yeah. So, werfjig hasn't done Back Escape, hasn't done Zora. I believe those are, and then Death Mountain stuff as well. And I think those are the differences between him and Makinx in terms of stuff cleared.
Yeah, pretty much. And, you know, if werfjig continues to do all the stuff that Makinx has done, they're going to be pretty close to even again after that one divergence from Hyrule Castle to Eastern Palace.
I think werfjig might take this chance to walk up to Spec Rock now that there's so little else open to him.
Because he also has he doesn't have the lamp yet either, so yeah, he's gonna go for it.
Oh yeah, he does.
Oh yeah, you're right, he does. My bad. Then quite literally, he has nothing else aside from that dark cross chest in this. So you're here, you may as well check it out, I guess.
All right, Spectral Rock, what you got for us? There is a moon pearl. That is Dark World.
That is. That's going to open a lot of stuff here.
All right, so I'm really, really interested to see what our last pendant is, because we don't know that yet. But with all these maps we have, we might be able to narrow it down.
And that'll be our full crystal and pendant information too, so that's also pretty nice. If we do get that anyway.
Yeah. I'm looking at these items, and great, we can go in the Kakariko portal, but we can get all the way to Palace of Darkness right now without the hammer, and that's just not an ideal situation.
It's not, but you also have to think, you know, you have your normal 5 items in Palace of Darkness, but with Map and Compass Shuffle on, that's 7. There are no except Ganon's Tower, I guess, that there's no dungeon in just normal settings that has 7 items.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff there. So, you know, maybe you still do your normal South Dark World route and end up there. Maybe you have a gut feeling about Pod and you go straight there, though that would be really gutsy.
Yeah, I mean,
we can go into Thieves Town, we just can't full clear it.
Yeah, pretty much. You'd have to just kind of hope that that small key is on the big chest. But anyway, gonna check this. Just some bombs in Dark Cross, so I guess we are going to start heading to the Dark World now.
Yeah, and Makinx picking up that Moon Pearl at almost the same time. So, I mean, look at this. We are seconds apart between these runners fluting on their way to the Dark World. And I think Makinx missed Dark Cross, werfjig missed Zora. Neither of those had progression. We are pretty synced up here again.
Yes, we are. Oh, well, hold on. Where is Makinx?
Okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, this is a little bit odd, given that you know Meyer's a pendant. as we see crystals in Pod, T-Rock, and Thieves Town.
So still need to find that other pendant, unfortunately, as... Okay, it looks like Quake is going to be our medallion for Meyer.
Yeah, the information there is not the greatest, because we have no sword, we don't have the medallion, and we may never need to touch that dungeon. But if there had been a great item in here, it would have given Makinx a big lead, because werfjig isn't going to be there until he does the rest of Dark World.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, when you have no sword, Red Boomerang comes in pretty handy for just stunning things out of the way.
Yeah, especially get those, you know, the one enemy that does not get stunned by the hook shot, but still gets stunned by the boomerang. That's always just weirded me out.
Alright, so Skullwood still has its small keys, but now has a total of, what, 5 items? 4 items.
4, yeah.
Because it's only got 2 normally.
Mm-hmm. It's +2 to every dungeon except Hyrule Castle, which is just +1. Both checking the big key chest at roughly around the same time, but werfjig has already kind of cleared out the front of the dungeon, so he's probably going to leave now and start looking for some other Dark World locations.
Yeah, Makinx didn't do the front first, which is the more conservative play to come back here first, but is going to cost him a little bit of time in this case. He's going to stand here and wait for the Wallmaster and wait for the... There we go.
I don't think he meant to kill the the Wallmaster the first time, because he could have probably used him earlier to get out, but
yeah,
it happens.
The muscle memory is really a thing where you're like, oh yeah, I just throw the pot and it takes out the Wallmaster and everything's good, and oh no, I needed him today. I want to give shout-outs to that hard hat beetle that was trying to get at Makinx and walked into a bumper, knocked itself back into the spike and took itself out.
Sometimes the enemies in this game can be brutal, other times they can just be plain silly. Okay, so werfjig checking out the Village of Outcasts area, hasn't found anything substantial yet, gonna play around here at the chest game, and potentially step into Thieves Town afterwards.
Oh, good timing on that piece of heart to just give him the refill, get him up to 7 hearts before going in here. It's not like swordless TT is unbeatable or too challenging, but certainly the less health you have, the more carefully you have to pick your way through it.
Yeah, definitely. Especially the hallway with all those rats as well. That can be absolutely brutal when you don't have a sword.
Oh.
Ooh.
Okay, so that was a good heads-up choice by werfjig that didn't work out. I like how he just knows the bunny beam is there and can try to capture it. I don't like how it didn't work.
Yeah. Nobody likes when it doesn't work. But definitely great attention to detail, and just knowing where all these like enemies are, these anti-fairies, the bunny beams, just even the item pickups.
Thieves Town has so many bunny beams, and some of them are hiding under pots. And knowing where they are can really save you time if you're hunting for extra health somewhere.
And thankfully, there's a really convenient anti-fairy before you kind of go to the kind of the attic of Thieves Town. So that'll be another opportunity to grab one if he so sees it fit.
Now, good news is we do have blue mail, so regular enemies are going to be a bit less harsh. Spikes are still going to do a full heart.
As demonstrated right there.
Werfjig having a little trouble with his menu here. It's not the most intuitive layout. And so we see a couple times just, oh, hang on, how do I get there most efficiently? And sometimes the answer, even though you hate it, is just mash right.
Yeah, really, I know, right? But yeah, much like paying attention to just like items and certain objects inside pots, just the skill of these runners being able to just kind of just trying to navigate these menus. It's definitely a skill in its own right. So it's definitely really cool to see when people have kind of optimized those.
So Makinx
Oh,
walked
boy.
into some Zizaks on purpose, bumped himself out of the dungeon, and is leaving this behind. This is interesting and concerning for both runners.
For different reasons.
Yeah, Makinx wants to come back here when he has hammer, so he can do the big chest. Werfjig just wants that crystal, and if something good is on blind, he's going to get a leg up from this.
Yeah, because there is going to be an item there at this point. If we have that small key already, so it can't be locked behind itself. So there is going to be an item there. So that'll be just kind of a one-off Werfjig would have to come back to. It does kind of help that he hasn't gotten the mirror yet. So that way, if like he gets the mirror later, he can kind of start going around doing those checks when he does have the hammer, and pick that up along the way if he thinks he needs to. But that is going to be just kind of left there for a while.
The cruelty of this situation is that it's a map compass shuffle seed. If it's a normal item seed, then plunging Thieves Town and hoping, hey, maybe the map and compass are in the big chest is a safer play. But when you go into Thieves Town like this, you know you're leaving something behind, which might be why Makinx bailed.
Yeah, honestly, both skills of thought are very, very good in their own right. But we're going to see Werfjig take on Blind with just the Cane of Samaria. Don't have a sword, don't have Berna, don't have the hammer. This is the only way we can attack this boss.
It's okay. Samaria does fighter's sword, or actually any sword, damage against Blind.
It is also nice because you don't have to get, so close to Blind, but you do have to.
Oh no!
That's unfortunate. Oh, okay, we have a fairy.
Right. Werfjig was deliberate. Werfjig was deliberately picking up fairies.
Oh, that's so annoying though, because he got him. He got him before that. It's just he hit him first.
This is where you go, I'm so glad I grabbed those fairies.
Oh, definitely.
I know what I'm doing in this game. I can power through this.
Oh, well, we just got an item that you're gonna love to see over on the left side in Hype Cave.
Only me?
I guess a lot of runners like it. I'm pretty much the only one that doesn't really care for him that much.
All right. Forgiving Slim Kirby, because that's what we do. We will celebrate Makinx's new shiny red boots as he's going to head over to the eastern part of the Dark World.
Well, he doesn't have hammer. He has to go through this way.
Oh no, I know why he's going this way. I wonder if he's doing Pyramid Catfish or Pod. Because if he does Pyramid Catfish, great. If he does Pod, he's going to lose the Smith.
It's probably just Pyramid Catfish. That's what that looks like what he's doing here.
Okay, so werfjig finished up Thieves Town. No progression in that dungeon, right? Just the crystal.
Well, there's no progression as we
No
know, but
progression
we know there's the hammer right there on the pyramid.
Oh, Makinx is going to be feeling really good after that.
Yeah, I guess overall, like, kind of dipping out early and coming back with the hammer doesn't lose as much time as if you just beat the dungeon and then come back later with the hammer.
Yeah, coming back later to make that trip just for one check is where it gets really painful.
Mm-hmm. But that hammer is a very good find. All the like normal portals to the Dark World are now open, so we literally have the whole world available to us right now, and we still don't have a sword.
There's probably 1 or 3 in pod.
Mm-hmm. Or one on the catfish.
Oh my goodness. Talk about routing working out. So Makinx obviously going to turn in the Smith here. Where does he go next?
He has lots of options. He could, he might take this opportunity to go back and finish Thieves Town now. It is a crystal. We need to finish it. There's still items in the back for him, so that could be a potential play that he might consider.
I do like this King's Tomb Bonk Rocks kind of before dropping the Smith off play, but werfjig, oh no. Headed to Palace of Darkness.
Oh, and he does not have the hammer or a sword either. Ooh.
So, in some ways, this is fine because he can clear out everything except the boss.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a crystal. Makinx gets to single dip this. The best thing that can happen to werfjig is full clearing pod and not getting progression right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if he finds just something like the mirror or the hookshot that can push him somewhere else, that'll send him away from the pyramid, which is where he needs to be.
Yeah, definitely. The only saving grace I can kind of see is if maybe getting mirror and fire rod or something. Or wait, no, not. We have a light source now, regardless. But, you know, finishing off those 5 and 6 crystals to route in the Pyramid Fairy with the pyramid, you know, that could give him something to look at.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. A sword on Magic Bat from Makinx.
Well, so much for 3 swords in pod, but there could still be 1. You said 1 to 3, so you're still in that ballpark.
Hey, we could still have 2.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
We can definitely have half magic.
It does look like Makinx is going to be working towards Desert Palace first. I mean, we only found 1 item in here, so you know, still can get a couple more out of this dungeon. And it's a crystal too, so may as well.
Yeah, it looks like Makinx is just switching over to grab crystal mode. His best case scenario, I think, is he finds the fire rod quickly in this chain of stuff he's doing in New Skull Woods while he does Thieves Town.
Yeah, definitely.
And I feel like Thieves Town will maybe be a bit higher on his list just with that idea of, I wonder if my opponent did that early. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially when you make a play, like, okay, let me come back later with the hammer. And that's kind of what's in your mind. Like, okay, did my opponent do this as well? Did my opponent just go for it eventually? Just a lot of things you got to think about when you're running one of these races.
So what do we still need? We need a hook shot for the Top of Ganon's Tower and maybe for Swamp Palace. We need a fire rod for Turtle Rock at a minimum. And what, maybe another medallion for Turtle Rock?
Yeah, like we obviously still have some question marks on the table. We don't know the full dungeon layout, but those definitely seem to be the big things, the hookshot and the fire rod for sure.
Maybe a mirror for Swamp?
No, that's true, yep, mirror as well. Does seem like Palace of Darkness is coming up kind of empty, with the exception of that half magic, but again, that doesn't really progress us. We do get a map for Swamp Palace, so we'll know if we need that mirror or not.
I'm excited for that map, but I can see why werfjig isn't.
Mm-hmm. So as far as he knows, that that hammer could be one of the first chests in there, but we don't have a mirror yet anyway, so thinking a little too far ahead right now.
All right, so no progression for werfjig. He takes the death warp out, and this is good. He is walking his way out of the hedge. He is going to get to the pyramid.
He's going to be a little annoyed by what he finds there, but, you know, it's good to find it at some point anyway, before your opponent finishes.
And Makinx finishes desert. Again, no progression over there, but that is the first crystal on the board. I can't believe it took 45 minutes for him to get one. I guess werfjig had one earlier.
Yeah, but even then, it wasn't that much earlier either. Again, with just some of the item layouts of this seed so far, and of course the Eastern Palace reward, which ended up being a pendant anyway, we just haven't really had a lot of items to full clear dungeons yet, so they've just kind of not really been putting a lot of emphasis on those. Because when you get all the items to full clear, that's when you want to complete a dungeon, because you know, saves you having to double dip the dungeon and coming back later. So definitely makes sense. And Swamp is a crystal. We need that mirror.
Wait. werfjig. werfjig is back in the pod area.
Oh, he has that hammer now, so...
Yeah, but he didn't go to Catfish.
That's true. He does not have that sword, and may not have it for a bit.
I'm worried about that. Actually, quite a bit for him. That's... Orphan Catfish is one of the worst locations to get to.
Well, he hasn't checked Zora yet, has he?
No. No, you're right. If he gets a mirror, that makes Orphan Catfish a little better to check.
A little. You can also think of it as, you know, that if you need to think you need to dip Ice Palace, you can kind of route that in there as well. So there are ways to go back there for sure, but, you know, obviously we need the mirror to take a lot of use of that right now. But yeah, with that Swamp Palace information, we are down just Ice Palace or Skull Woods being our last pendant.
Okay. Huh. That's a little weird. I hope we get one of those maps soon, because I'm looking at Ice Palace. From Makinx, it is full clearable right now. For werfjig, it is clearable when he gets a sword.
Meanwhile, we do see what the big chest in Thieves Town is. It is just a red rupee, so if werfjig does not go back for it, that will not harm him, but it's still going to be on his mind, I'm sure.
That is less exciting, but probably better for the race.
Yeah, probably. So Makinx is going to be trying the scripted blind fight here. Since he has a sword, he can actually do that.
Did you know that the Helmasaur fight has a script as well?
I did not know that.
Yeah, the problem is Helmasaur King just threw the book out, so
okay.
I can follow it. But I like the 8-arrow strat from werfjig, though. A little bit faster than bouncing back after every slash, and just a piece of heart for the trouble.
And both runners have their second crystals in hand around the same time, so not still pretty close race. Makinx does have the sword advantage, obviously, at this current point, but still, things can still happen here.
Yeah, that sword advantage, depending on how long it lasts, could be a big thing. Ooh, there's Quake at the Hammer Pegs for Makinx, opening up a full clearable ice or Misery Mire.
It is the green pendant too, and it's got 4 items with map and compass shuffle. I don't like that prospect, but at the same time, like, you have all you need to clear a pendant dungeon. Like, may not be a terrible idea.
Yeah, I think if you're Makinx, first you probably want to do Palace of Darkness. Get that cleared up.
I'd say so too.
Hope for I think the perfectly reasonable hope that Hookshard or Mirror is in there. I'm still surprised it wasn't there.
Definitely.
Because we need that for East F Mountain. And then, after that, Mire doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah, I can definitely see it being more worthwhile for werfjig here. He doesn't have a sword yet, though, so never mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would if he had a sword. Being able to do that along with Desert, so you're at least getting 1 crystal out of the deal.
So yeah, if you missed it earlier, Makinx has 2 swords that werfjig has not picked up. One is on Catfish, the other is on Magic Bat. But werfjig, having picked up the Pyramid Hammer, is not too likely to get back to Catfish soon.
Yeah, that'll fully depend on how just kind of this next part of the seed goes. He could at some point run into another sword or 2 anyway, but if he gets one along the path, Makinx is just going to get those as well, so there'll still be that sword advantage on his side.
Yeah, the best case scenario sword-wise for werfjig is he gets that Magic Bat one and then 2 more. And Makinx also gets 2 more swords. But I'd always rather be tempered to my opponent's butter than master to my opponent's tempered.
Oh, for sure, definitely. So yeah, we'll see what werfjig does after Desert Palace here. This is going to be a quicker crystal and just dungeon to full clear than what Palace of Darkness will be. We'll have a little bit of time to at least get, one sword out in the open, but from there, still looking for that progression. I'm honestly feeling pretty certain that it's going to be either Mire or Ice Palace now.
Yeah, that's not a fun call to make between the two.
Especially when one's a pendant and the other one you don't even know if it's a pendant or not.
In some ways, that pushes me towards Ice Palace, just on the off chance I have to beat it anyways. They're both annoying dungeons because of the way they work. The boss can actually be holding a small key, so there's no guarantee that you open every chest and then get to skip the boss. Now that's offset of it, because if you beat Vidi, you get the green pendant for an item, and if you beat Cold Stare, maybe you get a crystal.
Yeah, it's really a tough call, and a funny thing about that green pendant, it adds 1 to Mire's item count in a sense. But, Ice Palace has 1 more item anyway, so it's about an equal 50-50 play on item distribution there.
Now, all that said, Mire is a lot less of a pain to run through and route.
I'd say so. And you have the bow too, so Vidi's not going to be too concerning.
All right, werfjig, though, with the crystal lead at this point, having 3 of those things. What does he do? Does he just do Smith Chain?
And this is something that, funnily enough, the winner of this series, their opponent for the next round, Matt7898 in chat saying, Smith Chain's kind of all that werfjig has aside from these quick items he's going to check in the Mire area, because, he can't open Mire without a sword, and he can't get through the first room in Ice Palace without a sword, because no fire run.
Yeah, so it's Smith Chain, and then Quake and Magic Bat. Now, good news is, in this case, you can kind of count Magic Bat as part of that Smith Chain.
That's true, so that'll be at least 1 sword he'll get out of the equation anyway. It is just really, really annoying to do this part, though, without the mirror, but that's the thing. The logic of the randomizer can easily place that mirror behind the Smith Chain, so... But I think werfjig, he's going to take care of that.
All right.
Ooh, that's going to further isolate the sword here, though, at Catfish.
Right.
Well, that is a bit unfortunate for him.
I mean, I guess it's not like they were connected locations right now, not without the mirror.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
You, at the same time, when we saw Swamp was a crystal, we did hope a bit that would provide an early mirror to make those checks better.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mr. Jig. You're fluting to the village.
Well, he's going towards Magic Bat now. He's not doing the Smith Chain, which this will
Okay.
save him a little bit of time. He can put off the Smith Chain a bit longer, maybe even completely.
Yeah, if he does it like this, though, Ice Palace is going to be his next play. Because
Yes.
Quake is sitting in Hammer Pegs.
Mm-hmm. So if Makinx goes to Meyer, we'll have kind of another... I mean, we were already diverging anyway, but they've kind of joined up here, and now they're going to diverge again. So that's pretty exciting.
All right, first sword for werfjig. He got it in less than the hour mark.
That's good.
That means nothing, but at the same time, it always feels better when you're watching your end credits to know that you didn't go a full hour.
Mm-hmm. Better than most of the qualifiers they did, where every sword seemed to be after the hour mark.
All right, Makinx, you are gonna go to Meyer.
Okay, divergence number 3 of the seed. It is great to see them just kind of like all join up at the same point. Like, even if they are taking such different directions, there's at least one point where they're together again. That's just really fun to watch.
Yeah, and when the kind of the points align so closely, it is good to see that these runners are kind of on equal footing in terms of the rate at which they go through the game.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And we are seeing that the lack of a hook shot and even just a much better sword, that is going to make these ping gators a little more annoying to take out.
Oh yeah, at this point, I'd be tempted just to bite the bullet and use bombos. Given the half magic, you can use that 8 times without getting a refill, and every small jar gives you an entire other use of it.
So just a small key at the first chest in Nice Palace. Let's see what the first chest of Misery Mire is going to give us. Just the shield.
I mean, it's not a great shield. But if I can't get that shield in Swamp, I will take that shield in Misery Mire, the 2 dungeons with the most fireballs.
That's a good point.
I would still just rather not have the shield and not deal with the lag.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes in Randomizer you have to pick your battles. Oh, didn't quite catch that fairy on werfjig's side, but does get a heal at least.
Yeah, blue mail is going to be really handy here, just to cut down a bit on some of the huge damage enemies can do.
It's almost that's why they give you blue mail as the dungeon item in this in the vanilla game.
But I've done NMG, and I never get the blue mail here.
Well, that is why your execution is better than mine.
I don't know what to tell you. If you're getting blue mail in an MG, something's going weird, and it's not just execution. Oh, hey, look, Burna. That's logical spike cave access now, which I guess we were missing before. werfjig just missing the bottom bomb in the Pengator bowling room. He got the top one, which is nice. I still don't understand why Pengators die to a single bomb, but
it's a weird thing. A lot of again goes back to that Gibdos not being stunned by hookshot but by boomerang. There's a lot of weird quirks of the enemies in this game sometimes.
And I love them both.
It's a great game, that's for sure.
All right, werfjig getting the fairy there. That'll be a a nice little insurance policy to have.
Oh, well, Makinx gets the map of Ice Palace. And, oh, what did Wolfjig get?
Well, Werfjig's been picking up health so far, and money in this dungeon.
Oh. So you were reacting to the map, then?
Oh, I just think it's funny when I don't know who's going to get the information first. Makinx from finishing Meyer and checking the map, or Werfjig from finishing Ice and getting the dungeon prize.
Fair enough, fair enough.
At this rate, possibly Werfjig, because he's so close to the end of the dungeon.
Yeah, that's the thing. Meyer, like, all the items are kind of, like, in the first half of the dungeon. Then you have that long walk to Vitreous. Ice Palace, it's a little bit longer, but at the same time, the items are kind of thrown along the path, so it'll be pretty close.
Oh, there's our hook shot in Ice Palace. Just thinking, like, we haven't seen progression yet in either dungeon, and there we have it.
And our tracker Oro pointed out in chat, just with the key logic that we've seen so far, it meant that the boss wasn't hookshot locked, and well, there's a reason why, because the hookshot's in here.
So Werfjig did the nice little bomb jump over the hole here in IP. Means he gets to check this chest, get some bombs out of it, and then go straight through to the boss and skip. I was going to say he can skip a few screen transitions, but I think he also needs to go back and do the big chest.
Yeah, I believe so. So actually, I think we are going to probably get the Ice Palace information from Makinx first. He is approaching the boss right now, and I feel like Cold Stare is going to probably take a bit longer for Werfjig since he is only on the fighter sword, so has to be a lot more careful with Cold Stare here.
Yeah, fighter sword and hammer are your only items that work here, whereas Makinx is gonna go for some Burna slashes at first, which slows the game down like crazy, but hey, if your Master Sword slashes work, go ahead and do this.
Yeah, save yourself from taking like a whole bunch of damage from Vitreous, so it definitely makes sense. And then you can just save all your arrows for the big eyeball, and then easy. Easy as pie.
It has been a while since I've seen that Burna strat. You know, Cape strat is fairly common there, but that'll do it. That'll beat the dungeon. That'll give us small key and a green pendant.
Still have to see what that green pendant will give us, but that does not seem to be really any progression inside Meyer, at least. And oh, Werfjig already taken some damage here inside Ice Palace Cold Stare fight.
Good news is this will be a crystal, as Makinx shows us on the map. And less good news, those puffs do 3 hearts of damage at a time.
But, you know, kind of good news, we did have a fairy, so that's something.
And the fairy gives you 7 hearts back. So that lets you take at least 1 puff plus some ice flex. But Werfjig back in Oko mode now. He's going to drink the blue potion. This is not a fun fight. You can use hammer to do damage and have a terrible hitbox, or you can use fighter sword, spins, to keep yourself safer. But then the fight takes forever.
So yeah, it looks like Misery Meyer, on the other hand, was not going to give us any progression, just a heart container, so it's... Okay, Werfjig down to just 1, though.
Alright, this is better. This is pretty safe now.
Just wait for Cold Stare to stop, and then get him.
I like what he's doing here, where he stays above Cold Stare sometimes, and then hammers where Cold Stare would be if he moved up, to keep himself protected, and he misses a lot, but it also means he wasn't getting hit at the end.
Oh.
And I misread the map. That is a pendant, not a crystal.
Yeah, I thought I mean, it is blue, I guess. So I guess that's why. But I thought I saw a crystal as well, actually.
I would like to apologize to our tracker Oro for misleading them.
So with that hook shot that he found in Ice Palace, gonna not worry about Meyer because East Death Mountain is completely available to us. We can finish up the Tower of Hera, or well, start the Tower of Hera for that matter, and chances are we're gonna find some items over here. We have all the Light World Death Mountain stuff. There's lots of Dark Death Mountain stuff we can do as well, so there's plenty of stuff we can do.
Interestingly, I guess not interestingly, completely unsurprisingly, Makinx is going to go do Spike Cave as his choice up on the mountain because he has no hook shot. All right, Paradox Cave. Top 5 chests for werfjig. We're going to have Heart Container, rupees. I'm really hoping for a sword here. Heart piece. And rupees, which is not a sword.
Yeah, unfortunately not.
So Makinx must have picked up the shovel in Misery Mire because he's headed to that spot now.
Yeah, I think that was the only item we got from that area. Oh no, shovel was Spike Cave.
Oh, shovel was Spike Cave. It was right there.
Of course, we just came there.
And it's worth a heart.
Guess we just got strung along by the hype of Paradox Cave, or what should have been hype about Paradox Cave anyway.
Oh, it should have. It should have. werfjig is going to check ether here.
Cannot get it though, unfortunately.
Okay, just rupees. That is very good for him.
And look, it's on the floor of Tower of Hera, the Fire Rod.
Oh boy. So, if we can get in to Turtle Rock, it is fully completable right now.
That's true. We do have one. We do have the A medallion. We obviously don't know what Turtle Rock is yet, but could
Now
be
look
Wombo.
at werfjig here. He didn't get a big key from the first 2 chests. He doesn't want to mess around waiting in the basement. He is speeding around. There's the setup for the hook. Grabs the pot, and we're just going to skip some of the dungeon.
And here I thought he was just being really, really excited about being 70 minutes into this randomizer run.
I would be lying if I said I wasn't ever.
Oh, mirror. We just got mirror inside Tower of Hera. And that's both items in Tower... Oh, no, wait, no, we have 4. Never mind.
That's right, we have 4 because MC Shuffle.
But mirror is important. That... Well... We know where all items could be that could give us go mode. We still need that Turtle Rock information. werfjig still needs to get that second sword, so no one's in go mode yet by any stretch.
No. Turns out, though, that Herapot play does pay off well for werfjig.
Oh, very well.
Because he can just, normally you'd be worried about the big chest. I think in this case you go, great, I am so close to go mode, I don't care about that last item.
Mm-hmm.
Nice bowling alley in Ice Palace for Makinx. Gets the 2 lined up there. We're going to see him get hookshot in a couple minutes here. And now if he read his map properly, like I didn't, he should be able to know this is a pendant. And I wonder if he'll leave once he gets that hook shot.
Yeah, that is true. He'll have the novelty of knowing about that, unlike werfjig when he was going through there. So that is a play he can make to kind of make up some time here, especially if he feels like the Mire dip just completely put him behind big time. Ooh. Look at what Medallion Turtle Rock is.
All right. So werfjig just needs a sword for go mode.
Obviously, we know there's one sword on Catfish, but, you know, Turtle Rock's a dungeon we have to pretty much go through in a linear fashion anyway. He could probably find one in here. There could be one in Ganon's Tower as well, so there's lots of chances we have to find one. And sorry for my phone going off right there.
Oh, good. As long as we know that's what it was. But yeah, we've got all of Turtle Rock, potentially some stuff in the back of Skull Woods, and a couple easy checks in Swamp Palace. werfjig has a few options on the table for finding a second sword. Plus, GT.
Yes. GT is always a safe place where you can, you know, it's like, oh, I could be full clearing the basement anyway. Maybe there's gonna be a sword in there. Oh, well.
Silver arrows in Turtle Rock are going to come in handy for werfjig's side.
Yeah, that's a very good item to find. When it comes to, you know, doing silverless strats, like silverless strats are fine on Tempered Sword. You can do them on Master Sword, but it can take a really, really long time and has to be very precise. So if you have to go with Master Sword, you at least want to see if you can find those silvers somewhere.
And it looks like Makinx was counting keys in Ice Palace. Gets to almost Cold Stare and then says, nah, I don't need to go there.
And
so he's going to save and quit out.
And it's true. As we know, he doesn't need to go there. We know where all the items are, or at least where all the significant items are.
Oh, good. He's on the mountain. So he's going to do this same sequence of events. Just a couple minutes behind. This is going to come down to a lot of execution, and in particular, that sword advantage.
Yeah, for sure, because, like, on the table still, as far as crystals, we have Turtle Rock, which werfjig's obviously working on right now. We just have the back of Skull Woods, so there's not really many items to look for swords there. Swamp Palace, there's a lot of items. There are some along the way, as you said, so it depends on if werfjig wants to dip a few extra or just, you know, gamble on Ganon's Tower. So Makinx is definitely not out of this yet. If the sword is just very nastily placed, then that could come in big still.
So this is one of those times where half magic really is nice to have. When you're running through Turtle Rock with, honestly, any sword lower than Tempered, the ability to take out the Hokugokus in a single fire rod shot and not be worried about your magic is significant. You'd still like to spin them with Tempered if possible, but when that's not on the table, you just thank goodness you don't have to hammer or fighter sword them or something.
Yeah, and especially with hammer, it's so risky because if you hit them, man, they have some mad bounce back. So you really need to be careful of that.
Now, werfjig did a really cool thing there. He knows he's almost in go mode. Like, he just needs a sword. So he goes into Turtle Rock, checks the big chest, and then steps back out to do Mimic Cave. In the event that you're doing everything, it's slightly slower, but in the event you find your go mode item in the Turtle Rock big chest, you just saved yourself a lot of time. Like, Mimic Cave isn't as quick as you'd think.
Yeah, it's really not. I mean, you have 2 transitions with the mirror, 2 transitions into the cave itself. I guess technically, oh no, just 2. So yeah, does save you a lot of time if that sword or whatever item you're looking for ends up being in that big chest instead.
Oh, now Makinx isn't going to do the Harapot. He is going to go down to the basement and wait this out. This is time that I'm not sure he can spend.
Yeah, I don't think it is either, because I don't think we found the small key, so the small key is probably in the... Oh, wait, no, we needed that to come down here, Slim. You're silly.
Yeah, this will be the big key.
Yeah. But yeah, it will definitely say spend some time. Now, what if there's a sword inside the big chest?
That would be extremely good for Makinx. Like, incredibly good. werfjig isn't going back for that anytime soon. He'll probably do it like after he full clears GT. But then Makinx would be running through Turtle Rock untempered. Speaking of Turtle Rock, werfjig is kind of at the end of it right now. Just checking Laser Bridge for a key.
And Makinx doing a death warp inside Hera, because he doesn't have the mirror yet, but the mirror is here. We just, unfortunately, just was following the progression. Doesn't have it yet, obviously.
werfjig takes the safety door. There's so that he can come in and be sure he'll be safe. There's an argument I heard recently for doing Laser Bridge bottom to top, which is if you go straight to the bottom, you can deal with the hard hat beetle right away. And then you're not messing around with him later in the middle of the bridge. Especially if you're used to the NMG strat where you're only doing the bottom, you're very used to getting rid of that beetle.
Right.
I really respect this fairy game from werfjig. He's just like, no. I always want to keep my fairies. I don't care how long it takes to pick them up. It's faster than taking a death anywhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, hammer Trinex. 5 hammer hits on each head. Just have to time your pauses well so that you still switch your items somewhat while or before the heads are exploding. With half magic, sometimes runners will just opt to spam Fire Rod on the second head.
Yeah, understandable. Especially the further you get into the fight, sometimes Trinex gets really impatient and starts moving around, and it can really throw you off guard if he just bumps into you, takes some damage.
One more hit for werfjig. Okay, 2 more hits for werfjig. There we go.
And while Trinex is exploding on the inside of Turtle Rock, Makinx is using the Bombos medallion to explode on the outside as he's entering Turtle Rock as werfjig is leaving. Kind of a bit of a high five here.
Yeah, so that makes what? 5 crystals on werfjig's side?
Yep, 5 crystals to
5.
Makinx's 4, yep.
So on the one hand, a full Turtle Rock ahead. On the other hand, sword behind. But we haven't seen Super Bunny, we haven't seen Hookshot yet. Makes sense to put these off. But a sword here would put werfjig into go mode.
Yes, it would. Well, that is not a sword. That is not a sword. Finally, and none of these things are swords.
That is not a sword. That is not a sword. We're playing an interesting new version of Randomizer here, where the question in every chest is it a sword?
This Makinx picks up his silver arrows from Turtle Rock.
That's a red mail.
Oh, not a bad safety to find along the way. Especially if you feel like you're going to end up having to use spin strats against Ganon. Gets you feeling a little more comfortable about approaching him.
Yeah, I think of all the things that are not swords, that was the greatest thing werfjig could get.
I agree
since he
with
had
that.
silvers already. Alright, looks like he's picked Swamp Palace over Skull Woods for his next item.
Once again, we gotta point it out. Map Compass Shovel. This gives the +2 item count, so now we're up to 8 potential locations that could have a sword for werfjig here. I do imagine at the very least he's going to skip the very out-of-the-way checks, like left side swamp and that, but there are some other chests here that aren't too bad to get along the way. So I imagine he might check some of those.
Yeah, first chest on the left, South Loop chest, definitely the 2 flooded chests, and of course the free waterfall chest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's another nice thing about doing swamp here, which is if he comes out of it and there's no sword, he can go straight to Pyramid Fairy.
That is true. It all depends on like how he feels like the race is going for him right now, because, you know, obviously Ganon's Tower is pretty loaded with items, so that could be just as a good place for a sword as any. So it just kind of depends on how comfortable he feels with Master, how far he thinks he is behind, where he can make a check like that. And, oh, no, that's another check along the way, too. Big checks.
It's funny. In his position, he may be feeling like, oh gosh, I last locationed Hookshot, basically, going to IP as the last possible spot. But in some ways that worked out. Or he's still ahead because he missed the early sword and the early quake. In particular, the early quake.
Right, yeah, definitely.
Now that was at Hammer Pigs for those that didn't see it. And it led Makinx into a few-minute loss in Misery Mire.
Oh, yeah.
Makinx skipping Laser Bridge entirely. Just says, yeah, I got swords. Yeah, I might find one in GT, but otherwise it's not worth it.
I mean, at this point, he's a game down from werfjig, and if he does not win this game, he will be officially knocked out of the tournament, so he might feel like he needs to get a move on now. He has what he can to complete the game with, so he might want to just make a mad dash to the finish line at this point.
Oh yeah, and speaking in terms of like evaluating where you are relative to the other runner, Makinx might look at that quake he picked up and say, oh gosh, werfjig may have skipped that. I may have been the only one to go into Mire, which would be a correct evaluation here.
Right.
Some of these Trinex heads not playing ball, just moving as the beam shot is going towards them. That'll do it for the first phase. Just rupees in the flooded chest, so werfjig's still not quite in go mode. And Makinx switching to the mirror is not going to bother with Super Bunny and Hookshot Caves.
Yeah, I don't think he will either at this point.
He has definitely gained some time here. He's gone from being a Turtle Rock behind to being a Go Mode Swamp behind. Of course, he's actually going to go to Skull Woods here, but so we'll lose that comparison. But that is a significant time he's made up.
Yeah, definitely. And see, I think he'll definitely give some time back, even just like here on the Argus fight too. You know, with Fighter Sword, you can definitely use the spin strat to kind of kill 2 puffs at once, but if you don't make it work, you can't use normal slashes on the smaller puffs at all. Just you have to get spins with them. So this is going to take werfjig a little extra time.
Yeah, some of those puffs have been kind of eating his charged spins, which means they're getting back into Argus and he's losing time there.
So yeah, game 3 still pretty much on the table, everyone.
This is not a hard fight, but it's a challenging fight to do well for sure.
Definitely.
Great shot in phase 2.
Yeah, I can feel at least somewhat satisfied with that, even though phase 1 was rough. At least I got him down quickly in phase 2. And yeah, as expected, werfjig not gonna mess around with the time sink that is left side swamp. Do not blame him. That's just a lot of time to spend for what probably... I mean, I guess there are 2 items back there. They both could have been swords, but...
Alright, Makinx finishes up that moth fight. Master Sword means it's not always a clean fight. You need 8 total hits, and it took a minute there, but we were through this fight. 6 crystals for both runners.
Yeah, and they're both gonna basically trade off bosses here. So werfjig gonna take on Mafia himself. Makinx needs to go down to Swamp Palace to fight Argus. werfjig will, I imagine, definitely gonna be the first one to get their 7th crystal, so will be the more than likely the first one into GT. But again, that sword advantage is coming into play here in a very, very big way.
Now, fortunately, it doesn't matter too much for the moth fight. If werfjig busts out the hammer strats, he'll be good.
Even if he feels like he can get some extra hits with even just the fire rod too, if Moth cooperates. Not guaranteed to happen, obviously. But, you know, with Red Mail and Double Magic and Hammer, yeah, there's plenty of options here.
Yeah, we're going to do some fire rod shots, which are half as good as tempered and as good as a fighter's spin. And that'll do it almost as quickly as Makinx was able to do that fight. So that is 7 crystals for werfjig. He is going to be out of here and up the mountain pretty darn quick. And I'm still interested in where the big key is, but I'm very interested in where a sword is for Werf.
Yeah, because I mean, you have to imagine like he's going back in here to get this chest here. That's going to give Makinx a little extra time to get some get closer as well. It really is coming down to that sword.
Oh, there's a big key, and werfjig says,
Yeah.
that is not worth my time. I'm not going
Yeah.
back in and out 3 times.
Yeah, do not blame him in the slightest. He needs to get straight to GT. Really nice navigating around the stones with spin speed.
Man, look at all the things we can do when we have a sword to let us use spin speed.
Mm-hmm.
Makinx is going to check a couple of chests or not in the back of Swamp Palace. That screen
Wonder if that was
transition is
muscle memory.
too much for him.
Yeah, once again our tracker Oro pointing out some very good information here. Like, I mean, there are definitely some places where the sword can be. GT, I think, is definitely the best potential place for one to be located. But, you know, there's all those mirror spots that we didn't get to really check at all because of mirror being essentially our go mode in terms of all the items we needed to know.
Yeah. And those are isolated spots.
Yeah.
So this is by no means over. If werfjig goes in here, gets an early big key, goes a couple more rooms and gets a sword, he's going to have the lead going up the tower.
Yeah, definitely.
If he gets a sword early and a late big key, that's not so great for him. If he goes right side here and Makinx goes left, which I believe he does, we'll get werfjig picking up a sword and staying even on that front.
Right.
But, you know, if both runners end this on Master, it's really going to come down in large part to a Ganon fight. If one of these runners busts out the Samaria strat, that makes your phase 1 and 2 go so much faster. That can swing things right there. Boomerang, red rupee, arrows, and a ton of rupees on the right side of GT.
Gonna pick up this key here and then immediately mirror back to the front so it can start going down the left side.
Makinx coming up behind, just running through Super Bunny Cave right now.
Okay, looks like he is going to be checking a few, or not. This is just.
Oh my goodness! I like this. Just now, I've got Master Sword. I'm in go mode. I need to stay in the tournament. I'm going to skip everything.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a mushroom in right side GT.
That's another unique item in the left side of GT.
So werfjig got that blue boomerang on the right side, kind of just in time. He gets to bust it out for some strats on the left side in these crystal switch rooms. You can do it with red boomerang, but it's actually a different setup, and not everyone's familiar with it.
Ooh, and it looks like Makinx is going to be following right behind werfjig, so...
That's good news for werfjig.
Mm-hmm.
Makinx struggling a bit with that switchblade on the right side, but gets past. Magic not a concern at this point with the half. We've been rocking since pod.
Oh, there's the big key inside the randomizer room. And yep, werfjig is continuing. So this, if he does find a sword, like at Bob's chest or Ice Armos, like that'll make this almost a straight up execution race for sure.
Yeah, if it comes in at Bob's chest, or in the big chest actually,
True.
werfjig
Yeah.
will have a lead. If it comes up behind Ice Armos, that'll be a bit closer, but I think possibly still the advantage.
Yeah, we got
So werfjig
silver
skipping the
arrows.
big chest for now. I'm so tense.
This really is.
I just where's the sword? It can swing everything. Silver arrows here is very good to have.
Okay, what do we got here behind Ice Armos?
Oh no.
No.
That's none of those things are swords. Good news is werfjig remembers the big chest.
Mm-hmm. No, nothing there either.
Alright. He is not going to do tile room. He is going to go straight up the gauntlet. Remember, we still do have that chance. 4 chests at the top. And given how few locations are left in this game, the odds are getting better that one of them has a sword.
Yeah, as far as he knows, there's 3 swords still out there, so that does seem like that would be a good play. Unfortunately, we know that there is another one not there, so just 2 for us, but still.
Yeah, that last one down at Catfish. Up at Catfish? Far away at Catfish.
Yeah, far away.
And Makinx not having to do the rest of the basement is going to get the big key and start the climb basically on the same floor as werfjig. But if you know what you're doing, swords don't necessarily matter for these next rooms. werfjig goes into fire rod mode. We're going to see him just speed through this.
Now another question is, like, if there is a sword up here, like, there's a chance that Makinx can grab it as well.
I don't think he will. He doesn't grab any chests at this point.
He did grab the free one in Swamp Palace. He had to at least move a block for that one.
Alright, so we'll see him grab the pre-Moldorm chest and the post-Moldorm chest, but not the Helmasaur chests. Oh, and werfjig having a few fire rod shots go astray. This is going to turn into a 2-cycle fight for him.
Gonna grab that magic pot right there to refill a little bit.
Oh, and Makinx struggling with this red Zizak, Horsehead.
Beamos aren't being too kind to him either.
No, that's ooh, that's a lot of incidental damage along the way that scares you just a little bit. Makinx gets 2 on the first cycle of silvers, and there's the third. So again, still about a floor behind werfjig in this climb.
So we're getting ready to check the last 4 chests of Ganon's towers here.
Not a sword. Not a sword!
Oh boy.
That's not a sword. Slim Kirby. Slim Kirby,
I know.
where are the other swords?
I have no idea. There's got to be mirror blocked at this point. Or in the Tower of Hera big chest, or in Tile Room.
Or Pyramid Fairy.
That's yeah, and Pyramid Fairy. Could that be werfjig's like first check? When he...
I think it might be, just because it's the only one that's 2 checks as opposed to 1.
Right.
And 20 rupees at Moldorm 2. Makinx, we saw go slightly out of his way to check one of the chests in
But
the
not both
room.
of them.
But not both. Of course not both.
So because of this, I think this does swing the advantage back in Makinx's favor, because, you know, he's not that far behind werfjig right now. He's literally just a boss behind and like only a floor down.
So in this position, if you're Makinx, what's going through your head? Are you thinking, like, does he actually come to the conclusion that my opponent skipped catfish and doesn't have a sword? Because you'd think, you know, if your opponent skipped Meyer, normally they'd be finished at this point.
Oh yeah, for sure. I really do not know the answer to that question, so oh my gosh. And yep, as werfjig finishes Aga 2, Makinx starts Aga 2.
I think if you're werfjig at this point, you're thinking the obvious thought that, oh god, where are my swords?
Yeah, and he has all of Meyer open to him. He could even think
He doesn't,
that,
though. He
oh,
Meyer
he doesn't.
isn't
Oh,
on his
you're right.
radar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we
true.
never
Yeah, he
saw
can't-
him go to hammer pegs or smith sequence or those other mirror spots. There's
That's
a lot.
right. He's fluting away. He's turning in the mushroom.
Yeah, why not? You found it in GT.
Yeah. But Makinx does enter the Ganon fight first. Just a red rupee inside, and no empty bottles for potions.
Alright. So the Master Sword fight is not the greatest one. You need 12 hits per phase, and you can only damage Ganon by spinning. It's the Sword of Evil's Bane, and it does not cut it. So the big thing to do here is just take it slow, take it safe, and understand just how many spins it's feasible to get per cycle, especially once those fire bats start moving. Ideally, you have the cape for this fight, and so you can just stand in the middle of all the chaos and not get hit. Unfortunately, with Burna, you can pull it out, you can turn it on, but then you can't do any spin attacks. And since you need those to hit Ganon, it doesn't help.
Yep, that will not help us in the least bit, as werfjig is checking the Pyramid Fairy. Could we get 2 swords in there?
Oh, that would be exciting.
Makinx is in the home stretch, though. He is in phase 3. Just another spin attack, and then 4 silver arrow shots will clinch it and make this a game 3.
No torch glitch, but we don't need that for this. We just need to line up some shots. I didn't see it. Was it sword?
Nope.
No.
Just bombs and a 50.
Alright, looks like he's hitting the catfish. He will get that master sword pretty soon, but it is not going to be enough.
Yep, just a little bit too late as Makinx finishes Ganon. After the fanfare, he'll be walking into the Triforce room and we'll be moving this to Game 3. Get your GGs in chat, everyone.
That was tense. Makinx finishes with an official time of 1 hour, 48 minutes, and 54 seconds. So congratulations to him. I think we will we'll see werfjig get his sword here, and we'll let werfjig do the Ganon fight before we bring both runners in for an interview.
That sounds good to me.
Things I have never timed out. Is it faster to get back to Ganon by running like this or by mirroring and fluting to 4?
That's a... I mean, obviously, if you've beat Aga 1, then yeah, that would definitely be the play, because you just warp right in front of there, but since you have to go through the first bit of Hyrule Castle again... Because I believe he put his mirror portal on...
It was at the top.
balcony.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this was just a bit faster.
Oh, actually, yeah, leaving one at the base of the stairs for returning
Yeah.
back. But you'd have to be counting on getting a sword at the one non-mirror spot.
Yeah, definitely. You do get that trident spin, as you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's a nice way to get 2 at once. And werfjig now through phase 1 into phase 2. The timing of which starts the moment you see the trident spinning, and he ends up doing fire bats. So if you release your first spin just as that trident appears, you can start counting hits. werfjig gonna hide in the top corner right now, get some of those doubles.
And that should move it along to phase 3.
Good use of hookshot iframes. And he does have a bottle, right?
Oh yeah, I think he stopped at the
Or a
potion shop,
ferry.
so yeah.
Oh,
I don't know
right,
if
right.
He has a ferry, but he got blue.
Oh, he
potion,
must,
yeah,
because he
definitely.
tried to buy potions and couldn't. Because they were all full.
Yeah, and the potion lady called him a bucko for some reason.
Nicer than Dingus, but still not the
Yeah.
politest thing I've heard in Hyrule.
Yeah, Hyrule
Nicer than
people
Creeper.
Yeah. Hyrule people are just kind of mean.
I don't know, that dashing guy in the village is kind of nice. Tells you nice things about the devs. And werfjig getting a silverless hit there.
I think he still has he still has a fairy at least, but he definitely did buy a blue potion though.
Oh, and nice work here getting Ganon in the middle of the room, setting up the double, almost the triple. That'll do it. So werfjig gonna cross this bridge and finish out his run with a time of 1 hour 53 minutes 20 seconds. So GG's to him, and we're gonna see about talking to both of these two.
Sounds like fun to me.
Hey, we got Makinx in here already. Congratulations.
Yo, thanks, man.
So, early on in this race, we saw a lot of convergence and then divergence, and then you went to Mire and he went to Ice, and that was the first big split we really saw. How were you feeling after all of that Mire play didn't work out for you?
Yeah, I felt awful about that, of course. I figured the only thing that might save me at that point, which in the end actually happened, was Worf not finding a sword anywhere and just still being on fighter sword, because I routed in Catfish pretty early, but if you I don't know, if you didn't do it at that point, I figured you wouldn't do it at all, and that's exactly what happened to werfjig. So after Ice Palace, everything sort of fell in place. So really, I needed something like that to happen to win this race. And well, fortunately for me, and unfortunately for werfjig, that's exactly what happened. I feel pretty good about finding that sword at Catfish and the hammer on the pyramid. That was great.
And you made it there before you even dipped to pod. We
Yeah.
also got werfjig in here with us. werfjig, GG's, very diligent searching for the sword. And what made you pick Catfish kind of right after Pyramid Fairy?
I don't really know. GG's Makinx, but
Hey man, thanks.
After Pyramid Fairy, I was just like, what's the most out of the way bizarre? Because I knew, like, I was in panic mode because the seat had a rough start and never really found a rhythm. So I figured, let's just try something out of the way.
Yeah, well, it was the right call at the end there.
Yeah, so there was one sword at Lumberjacks, and one was not accounted for.
Oh,
that's right, because we actually didn't see that on your side. I think
yeah, we had a
just
little cropping issue at the start.
Oh, all right, okay, got it.
We saw you duck out and never go back, and we figured it wasn't important at all. But,
yeah, that was a sword. So, but I got the Master Sword pretty early.
Right.
So I never found a need to go back there.
Okay, this explains a lot, because we were watching you go through the end of like Super Bunny and not even checking the 2 Super Bunny chests right there.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And I totally get that now.
Yeah, because there was only one sword left in the game, so what are the odds of it being in Super Bunny Cave or Hookshot Cave or whatever? I felt it was a time waste to go look for that. Except for a few of those chests that you walk by. I decided to open those.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I thought it might have been a possibility for werfjig not to have Master Sword by the time he reached Ganon. Yeah, because there was only one sword left in the game.
Yeah, definitely, and also just due to the items that werfjig had at that point, he didn't have the Quake Medallion either, so that kind of made Ice Palace his only play.
Yeah,
so
it makes sense. Yeah.
So that put him right in the Ice Palace to get the hook shot, and then he was essentially a dungeon ahead of you for the rest of the seed, and then just having to full clear Ganon's tower, and you just not having to check anything along the way. Like, that's just started getting closer and closer and closer, and then literally he started looking for that sword in the overworld when you dropped into Ganon. That definitely made the difference right there.
Yeah, I got to go mode Swamp Palace, and I didn't have to check full clear Ganon's tower. It saved a lot of time there. time that I had to make up because of Mire. You know, Mire is a pretty lengthy dungeon if you have to open all the chests.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, I was thinking Mire after the Catfish play, but I didn't even realize I didn't have Quake, even though I did check the requirement. Where was that, by the way?
Hammer Pegs, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. So the reason I didn't go in Ice Palace at that point because I didn't have the hook shot, you know, and logically a lot of it might have been locked off. So I figured I got that medallion. Let's go to Mire, see what's there. You know, it turned out to be a total bust. Even the green pendant was nothing.
I think Kane and Samaria puts ice in logic. Maybe not the whole dungeon.
The right side of ice. Well, the key was early, so the right side was also in logic then. But if you don't find an early key, or if all the keys are really late, and you have to drop down. You know, I don't know. The dungeon becomes really weird. I'm not really sure about the logic at that point. But
It's something about too many smalls on the right side, but the big key is on the
yeah.
left.
Anyway, that was
Or
my
on
reasoning.
the
That was my reasoning for going into Mire in the first place. And then I found the map to Ice Palace in Mire, and I saw that it was the blue pendant. And so I felt pretty good about my choice, even though there was nothing in Mire. Figured might have wasted just as much time doing ice, but you know I had to go in there anyway. In the end, basically full cleared the rest of the game before I went in there.
But that did actually kind of help you a little bit too, because you actually were able to nope out of Ice Palace once you got the hook shot and you cleared all that stuff. Didn't have to fight Cold Stare. Well, werfjig went all the way and beat Cold Stare because he was still looking for stuff and obviously still needed a sword as well. And fighter sword Trinex is no joke.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think Cold Stare gave me a lot of trouble with the hammer. I had to play really careful just because the hitbox is kind of messed.
Yeah, so I made up a lot of time with that. Kind of lucky for me, really, that there was just no sword along the way anywhere. Otherwise, I would have lost clearly.
That's rando.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. So it was a really slow seed. I had another maps and compass shuffle in my first match against the Zazas, and that was an hour 14 minutes seed. So I was really hoping for another fast one, but didn't happen.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I did see the results of that, and you know, because I had such a, I guess you probably also had a very slow start to the beginning of the seed.
Yeah, really.
Around like the 120 mark, I was checking the IRC to see if you were dot dunning.
Yeah, no. It was just a really slow seed in general. I don't think there was any way you could have done this really fast. Could have been faster than this, obviously, if I had not gone to Mire. Would have saved me a couple minutes, but yeah.
Even the God route on this was pretty obnoxious.
Yeah, exactly. There's just no way to do it fast.
So I believe you guys have scheduled round 3's match already. And would you like to tell me when it is?
Yeah, it's tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern.
And what settings are you going with?
I'm turning off map and compass shuffle. I just had a bad feeling about the beginning of the seed, and maybe that'll help. I don't know.
Fair enough.
So we're back to just regular open.
Elimination game. It's got to be standard setting.
Exactly. It's fine by me. I like that.
Well, definitely best of luck to both of you in that match. This is a very, very entertaining match to watch, and it was just, again, not knowing what was going to happen, even in those final minutes. It was very, very fun to watch, and yeah, good luck tomorrow, both of you facing each other one last time to just determine who gets to move on to the losers finals of your group.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for doing the comms this time.
Yeah, thanks to the comms and the tracker. And
the tracker, of course. Iceman for the restream.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, we're just going to recharge and do it all over again tomorrow.
I hope it's a little less tense tomorrow.
Yeah, same here, you know. It's all or nothing, so you never know.
Yeah, it won't. It'll be tense no matter what.
Yeah. All right.
All right, then. I think we will wrap it up here. As we said, thanks to Iceman for the restream. Thanks to Oro for doing all the tracking on that, including correcting me after I misread someone's map. But hey, thanks to everyone for watching and catching one of these races over here. And Slim, thanks for joining me.
Well, hey, thanks for joining me. This was, again, a lot of fun to commentate with you. Always enjoy joining you on the mic, and this was a fun one to talk about. Definitely a little tense there at the end, but that's... I think that makes a good randomizer race, though, sometimes. So, that to each their own, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going to go have a lie down now.
Yeah, probably me too.
Same.
Okay, so as was determined, Game 3 between these two will be tomorrow at 11 a.m. Come back if you want to check that out. Don't know if that's going to have a restream yet or not, but stay tuned to that schedule. And worst case scenario, you can just pull up a multi-link of both channels and watch the action yourself. Definitely consider giving both runners a follow for putting on such an amazing show. And join us for more Randomizer in the future. We have a lot of matches going on. This is the last week of the quote-unquote group stage, so we're starting to figure out some names that'll be moving on to the next stage of the tournament. So going to be a very exciting week.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.